And welcome to a new series here, Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. I've heard the song before. It's very nice. So, hello and welcome to a new series on the channel. Something I've been wanting to do for like a week. But this is something I'm going to be doing in my free time more so I'm probably going to try to put aside time to do trial by trial, like chapters or whatever they're technically called. It's been a while since I've played anything in the series, but I have played quite a bit in the series in the past. I actually have a bit of a weird thing going with this. Like at the beginning of the new year or so, when I had a little bit of time to do some stuff on the side, I was like, I want to play this game on the channel. So I tried to do like the whole emulator stuff, because it's originally a 3DS game, right? And there's a fan translation, so I tried to do all that. But my recording software, as things tend to be on my PC for some reason, just decided it didn't like it. And then they announced this, like a few months later, after I was like, I'll figure that out later. I don't really have time to do this anyway. And it's like, oh great, I get to play it! I want to play it, it's official even! So, The Great Ace Attorney. This is a game, if you are not familiar, in a series of games that are basically, you play as a lawyer. This is a spin-off in a way that, from my understanding, it should be fairly self-contained, so you shouldn't need to know the other stuff in the series to appreciate the story and whatnot, which is great for me, because I definitely don't want to explain it, nor I'm going to pretend that I remember everything. I've played most of the games in the main series. The first trilogy, Apollo Justice, at least the first 3DS game. I did not play the second one, partly because it's like, maybe I want to play that on the channel someday. I technically haven't played one of these games since, well, before the channel started, but I really do like them quite a bit. So, and I don't know much about this outside the fact that it's sort of old-timey Japan, 1800s England sort of setting. You have a character named... It wasn't Sherlock Holmes, it was Herlock Sholmes, right? Or something like that. And I have played like the first half hour or so with the fan translation before I figured out the recording was all boof and whatnot, but with that in mind, why don't we just jump into it? So, right, so there's two games. Both games, because there's two games in this spin-off series, right? What does Select Adventure do? Oh, okay, the specific trials. Okay, so I guess I'm probably going to be trying to record whole adventures, as they call it, in a given sit-down whenever I have time, and then edit that out and sparse that out however much time there is in between doing one of these and the next one. Again, this is sort of my wildcard thing for a while. I'm doing it more for me than out of a belief that it's necessarily wanted on the channel. So, new game. Let's go. The funny thing is...
The Empire of Japan. After opening its doors,
English?
A push for cultural transformation brought great waves of Western influence to this far eastern island nation. The revolution washed over the land, making life in the capital exciting and unsettling. It was a period of great change, and some was swept away by the tide.
Da-da-da.
But for one man, the turbulence of that era was just the beginning of an extraordinary story.
English, though. Oh, I have a few things to note. So like I said, I played like the first half hour of this. The adventure. of the Great Departure. Okay. Great Departure. Interesting. So, I played like the first, like I said, oh my goodness, it's still going. I played like the first half hour of this or so previously, which basically translates to, I know a little about the story, but I do know from that opening cutscene, one, when I tried to do it via an emulator, it was like half speed, so it was like, oh my goodness. But they didn't have English voice acting, obviously. I wasn't expecting that. This is like one of those games that's been in Japan for a long time, and it's like, well, they're never going to bring it over. They're never going to bring it over. But they even have English voice acting. I wonder how much voice acting this game has in general. So it is November 22nd, 8:43 a.m. Supreme Court of Judicature. Judicature. Oh my goodness, that's probably a word in English I should know. Defendant's antechamber. 5. Oh my goodness. Still can't believe it. I still can't believe this is happening. Well, that's limited. You can't do, like, individual volumes for the different stuff, like the little dots. Like, I like the dots for them talking and whatnot, but if I'm going to be reading stuff out, that's not going to be ideal. Oh, well. How can it be just that? How can it be that just beyond the doors of this quiet little chamber is the highest court in Japan, waiting to decide my fate? What? Oh, no, nothing. Savior glares. Murderer. Sorry. Okay, so not a whole lot of voice acting. I expected that. I think I remember the 3DS game when they first started doing voice acting was like maybe like 5% might be a high-end estimate of how much of the script was voice acted. My name is Ryunosuke Naruhodo. I assume that's how you pronounce it. I'm a second-year student at the Imperial Yume University. 3 days ago, I somehow found myself in the middle of a horrifying incident. And now, here I am, awaiting my trial. That's enough! I do remember this. There's just like constantly swaying headband. Oh, like I said, it's like over half a year ago when I tried doing it, so I don't remember too much because I didn't get too far into it. But that's definitely something that stood out. He's not obliged to listen to such abuse, officer. And who are you? I'm this man's a lawyer. I'll be defending him today. Lawyer? Yes, and until the judge has given his verdict on the case, no one has the right to treat him as a criminal. So you will hold your tongue. Technicalities. Look at you. You haven't even graduated yet. And yet, it seems I still seem to know better than you how a court officer should behave. Right, Ryunosuke? Oh, yes, of course. Sorry. Should I be doing a British accent? Because I know this has, like, you know, Herlock Sholmes and stuff like that. I'm not going to claim I can do good accents, but I can sort of make it sound semi like an accent. What are you apologizing to me for? Oh, no, I suppose that wasn't my fault. But really, Kazuma, I never meant to drag you into this, I'm sorry. There you go again, apologizing. Just like always. Though I must say, you've been all over the newspaper these past few days. Yume University professor murdered in cold blood by students. I'm gonna guess he didn't do it. You know, just a guess. But obviously, you didn't actually do it, did you? Well, of course not. You have to believe me, I didn't do it. I can never murder someone. Then there's nothing to worry about. Straighten yourself up. Hold your head high. You mean... I believe you. I know you're innocent, Ryunosuke. Kazuma Asagi, my best friend. Also in his second year at Yume University. But he's far more clever than I. A star student, in fact. He's even a qualified lawyer. Impressive considering he's still an undergraduate. It's not that impressive. The very concept of lawyers is only a few years old. Here in Japan, anyway. My qualifications don't mean much yet. You said exactly the same thing 3 days ago. But I'm proud to have a friend like you, Kazuma. Truly. 3 days ago. Yeah, that's when all this started. Congratulations! Congratulations, Kazuma! It looks like you're going to get to study abroad at last. I know. I've been forever dreaming of this day. Finally, those government elites have acknowledged my academic achievements and successes in court. So you'll be representing Japan as you immerse yourself in the most sophisticated legal system in the world? Alright, this is probably what the Great Departure thing's referring to, yeah? I'm really happy for you, and proud as your friend. There's not a soul in the university who doesn't know Kazuma's name. He's a living legend. It's like there's some mysterious aura billowing around his temple. I want to bring about change in our own legal system. That is why I have to cross the ocean, to see the real thing with my own eyes. The heart of the British Empire? Ha, I wish I could see it too. Well, suddenly that Great Departure thing makes me feel as though that might be, you know. Then come with me. We'd have a wild time tearing up the streets of Her Majesty's City of London together. If only it were that simple. Oh dear, look at the time. I'd better get going. Alright, I'll see you later. I think I'll stay and enjoy this place a little while longer. Good idea. After all, it's not every day you get to visit a high-class Western restaurant like this. See you in English class tomorrow. Then, partner. He does seem nice. He also has the billowing headband, which makes no sense. Not that it's billowing constantly, but why is he wearing a headband? It was straight after that. That's when it happened. Asagi, may I have a word? Oh, hello. Professor, I didn't know you were coming. Well, this case has personal significance to me. But never mind that for now. Asagi, you should go immediately to the judge's chambers. To His Excellency's chambers? Why? He was looking for you before. You advocating for the defense in this trial was a sudden decision. Seems there may be some confusion about procedures today as a result. Who is this man? I feel as though I've seen him at university before. I see. I'll go at once then. I shall accompany you. Alright then, Ryunosuke. I'll see you in the courtroom. Yeah. Thanks, Kazuma. Hi. This is awkward. If I may? Yes, sorry. You must be the defendant. Ryunosuke Naruto, I believe. Yes, that's right. No, I mean, no, that's wrong. No, that's what we're supposed to say in this game. No, that's wrong. My name is Eugene Mikotoba. I'm a professor of forensic medicine at Yume University. Well, that sounds potentially relevant. I've heard that name from Kazuma before. As I recall, he's been pushing to get the government to agree to Kazuma studying abroad. Asagi has told me about you. You and he are best friends, I understand. As such, I feel you should know. Know what? Well, as you've no doubt heard, Asagi has been granted permission to go and study in Great Britain. However, if he should fail to defend you in today's trial, I'm afraid that that permission will be revoked and never granted again. What? As I suspected, you were unaware of this. Okay, well, I was about to say, medical knowledge. Potentially wanting to get the best friend out of the picture to motivate him to go overseas more. I was thinking, maybe it could be him that's really behind it. Because there's always a twist in these, yeah? If you're not familiar with the series, it's very dramatic. Investigative, dramatic, and I'd say logical, but there's also quite a bit of bullshit in there at times, too. I was thinking, things are lining up, but now maybe not? I had a feeling Asagi may have chosen not to tell you. He's agreed to defend me, knowing that if he fails, his dreams will be shattered? I don't understand. Why would the government do such a thing? The administration has to choose from a large number of applicants for overseas study. It's very difficult to persuade them to grant permission, even in the most favorable of circumstances. I don't believe it. But I didn't do it, I swear it. I'm not a murderer. I'm sure that's true, nevertheless. I can assure you that proving your innocence will be no easy task. You see, there are certain peculiarities about today's trial. Sorry? What do you mean? You'll soon understand once proceedings get underway. But then what should I do? Well, naturally, I'm not going to suggest doing anything that could lead to a conviction. Right, so as soon as the trial starts, the judge will pose a certain question to the defense. When that happens, you must answer before anyone else. You must say, I do. I do? But what will the question be? Surely not, do you accept the accusations brought before you? Of course not. Defendant! Court is about to begin. Proceed to the courtroom at once. It would seem our serendipitous discussions ought to be cut short. So allow me to summarize. Kazuma Hasagi must not be the defense lawyer in this trial. Of course, as the defendant, the final decision is yours. What are you waiting for? Do you want to be found guilty for failing to appear? I guess that technically can be a thing, but for murder, I'm pretty sure they wouldn't do that. Get moving! There's no point in anyone advocating for the likes of you anyways. Thanks, guys. This is it. If this trial goes badly, Kazuma's dreams of studying abroad are over. And what's more, I'll be found guilty. Murder. And so, with absolutely no idea of what lay ahead, I embarked on that unforgettable trial. My one and only chance of proving my innocence. The trial that would decide my destiny. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, I don't remember how far I got into the trial. Not very. It was basically at that point I noticed something was weird. So I think even vague memories I am not going to be familiar with after this. His eyes are just darting around. So this is a courtroom. The Supreme Court of Judicature. No court in the land has more power. If lawyers are a new thing, then I don't much like the look of those people sitting in the public gallery. Yeah, they sort of look like military men, but who knows how common that might have been back then. Lots of military and other uniforms in there. The powers that be have demanded that this be a secret trial. A secret trial? A trial that's closed to ordinary members of the public. Only military and government officials may attend. What? But why? Oh, it'll become clear in time. But for now, you need to concentrate, Ryunosuke. It is about to begin. Hey, judgy boy. The court will now hear the trial of Ryunosuke Narumoto. The prosecution is ready, Your Excellency! Okay, if you're not familiar with the series, he is always the first lawyer, or some variant on his design. He's always the first prosecutor you go up against. As is the defense. Before we begin, there is one point of order I would like to confirm. Yesterday evening, the defense made a last-minute request for a change of advocate. That's correct, Your Excellency. I made the request myself. Normal procedure is for the defendant's advocacy to be decided 2 days prior to the trial. As this is unusual circumstance, I am obliged to ask for final confirmation now. Who advocates for the defendant in this trial? Oh, this is the question. This is it. This must be the question. Is he trying to sabotage me? Who's going to defend me? That's the question the professor meant. But then, if I say I do, can he still help, though? Can he still help, technically? I need to answer quickly. What should I do? Well, worst case, it's a bad end, yeah? Your Excellency, no confirmation is needed. As I am standing here beside the defendant, I hope it's clear who I...
Yes!
I don't think yes was the answer you're supposed to give. What is the meaning of this unruly outburst? I would like to inform the court that I, Ryunosuke Naruto, will be defending myself. You'll be... What? What are you playing at, Ryunosuke? Professor Mikitoba told me everything just now before the trial. He did what? He said that your dreams of studying abroad would be dashed if you were to lose. I think he did it because he's very confident in winning. Because if he wouldn't be able to save his friend, he wouldn't find himself worthy of doing it anyways. I mean, if we're being realistic here, if he loses and his best friend goes to jail and he fails at being able to do this, do you think he would go abroad? I don't know him well enough, but I can imagine just a little bit of his personality I've got in here. He definitely seems like the sort of person that might just outright blame himself so heavily that he wouldn't let himself, either out of honor, or depression, or something else like that. Or self-esteem, I guess. How sad. It means you don't have faith in me. Think I won't be able to get you off? Why, you can get me off, I mean. That's not that hard. You seem like you have a steady hand. But, you know, getting me, in case I get, you know, declared guilty, then, you know. No, it's not that, really. It's just that, well, on the off chance things don't go well for me, I couldn't bear to be the reason that you... Yes. I knew that's how you'd feel. Which is exactly why I decided not to tell you. Professor Mikitoba shouldn't have stuck his nose in. Very well. The court hereby recognizes the defendant's desire to advocate for himself in today's trial. Well. Does the accused admit defeat already? Renouncing his own counsel, really?
Objection!
Make no mistake, counsel. This merely shows that the defendant's innocence is so apparent, he's confident he can speak for himself. Isn't that so, Naruhodo-san? Yes, exactly! Exactly exactly what I wasn't thinking. I'm not confident at all. In fact, my mind's a complete blank. That is a very familiar pose. I realize you're in charge now, but still. Try not to look so bewildered. Well, for a mere university student to be brought before the Supreme Court, you must have perpetrated a most heinous crime indeed. Are you not aware of what the crime is, Mr. What's-Your-Face over there? As you are no doubt aware, this is the Supreme Court, Judicature, Japan. Accordingly, the various high standards of conduct are expected of all present. Is that based on only having lawyers for a few years? Do I get a little bit of leeway? Because technically everyone's new at their job, right? Do I make myself clear, Defendant Naruhodo? Yes, Your Excellency. It is therefore my duty to assess your competence for the task you have undertaken. My competence? What does that mean? He's questioning your ability to do the job, numbnuts. Well, you can't be questioning more than I am. So, let's start with the very simplest of questions. Yes. Kindly state, before the court, the name of the victim in this case. Well, that's easy enough. I've heard its name more times than I care to remember. But, wait. I'm so nervous I can't even remember that. Who was it again? Ryunosuke? Let me guess. Your mind's gone blank. You know me so well. All the relevant information for this case can be found in the court record. Right, but I can't even find that. How does it work on controller? It's simple. You can access the court record with a press of R. If you ever find you've forgotten something, just consult that. It's all in there. Got it. Not letting me. Neither of them are working. You just have to press R for the court record. Alright, there's no time to lose. University collar pin. This is evidence that you can switch to people with R. Okay. The victim being not you two, not you, the lead prosecutor of this case, who would appear to have a little love for the changes the Cultural Reformation has brought about. Aren't you a lawyer? Isn't this whole lawyer thing part of the part of the whole Cultural Reformations? John H. Wilson. Okay, I think I... So I know they have to do... So this is just something I'm vaguely aware of, is the Herlock-Sholmes thing is literally a, they can't use Sherlock Holmes because it's still, like, trademarked or copyrighted. I forget exactly what would count for that sort of thing. But they're not allowed to use it. This man is very white and he reminds me of what I'd imagine John Watson would look like. Yeah? A victim of this case. He was a visiting professor of medicine at Yume University from the British Empire. He also might just... it's also partly the fact that it's John, middle initial, when no one else has a middle initial, and then something starting with a W. It's the fact that he looks like that. He's also from Britain. But okay. Maybe, I don't know. So remember, everything to do with the current case can be found in the court record. Now, you better not keep His Excellency waiting any longer. Go on. Find the victim in the people section of the court record and press X to present. Oh, okay.
Yes!
The victim's name was... Dr. John H. Wilson. Am I right? Well, at least least you can remember the name of an esteemed member of your own university. I'm not sure if I want to, like, the whole, like, we have the highest standards here. I'm not sure if I want to do joke ones. I'm tempted, though. The victim was me. I'm the real victim here. Technically, that might even be true, because I'm probably being framed. Dr. Wilson was a visiting professor from England, invited to Ume University 3 years ago. Interesting. Indeed. Which is the reason why this case has such profound implications. The British Empire is at present our country's most valuable foreign ally. And most of you will be aware we have just signed a new treaty together after lengthy negotiations. There can't be anyone who hasn't heard of the Anglo-Japanese Treaty of Friendship and Navigation. I'm not great with history, so... And yet, despite these delicate circumstances, the blood of an Englishman has been spilt on our soil. You two are both undergraduates at the Imperial Yume University, are you not? Murdering a professor from the very institution that provides your education. Have you no honor? I didn't do it! This case is coming under great scrutiny from our allies on the other side of the world. The court, therefore, wishes for a speedy resolution to this matter. In other words, our feeble government is scared of upsetting England's policymakers. And you're a convenient and expendable scapegoat to blame for this crime. So, that's why this trial has these unusual peculiarities, is it? Exactly. Our government needs to convict someone as quickly as possible. And all because the victim was an Englishman. Yes, Dr. Wilson was an Englishman. But nationalities and treaties won't make any difference for me here. The fact is, I was there at the scene of the crime. Okay. Said it was right after, right? Is there any chance he was an English professor? Teaching them English and he even knew them? The British Empire. Wow, it's incredible to think. Wait. I've seen that man at university. I'm sure he's a visiting professor from Great Britain. I don't know his name, but still, I should go and say hello. So I went over to the professor's table and introduced myself to Dr. Wilson. Now then, let me pose my next question to you, Defendant Naruto. Yes, Your Excellency. How did the Professor of Medicine, Dr. John H. Wilson, lose his life? State before the court the cause of death. Cause of death? Well, obviously that was, Ryonosuke. Remember that in court, every assertion must be backed up by evidence. By evidence? But how? Find the piece of evidence that shows the professor's cause of death and select present. Do it now. Death occurred a little after 2 p.m. was caused by loss of blood from a gunshot to the chest. Did not pass through the victim's body. Interesting. So let's know. It was caused by... So he died from loss of blood from the gunshot wound. And they probably could find another point he was bleeding from if it wasn't the gunshot wound. But my first thought was there was like, loss of blood? Well, maybe. Maybe because loss of blood is loss of blood. Just because there's some blood loss from the gunshot wound doesn't necessarily mean he can't have lost blood from something else. Not past through his body, though. That's interesting. I don't have a great knowledge of guns, but that's an interesting thing to make note of. I don't know how regular that would be, basically.
Yes!
Well... according to this document, the victim suffered a hemorrhagic death due to gunshot trauma. I'm going to read you, imbecile. That's the post-mortem report, I take it. Sorry, yes. That's right, the post-mortem report. In the West, a doctor dissects corpses to identify the cause of death in an autopsy. But here in Japan, the police officer merely inspects the body and draws conclusions that way. That sounds fairly unreliable. Oh, I see. As long as I'm not going to be tested on any of this later. This is a so-called photographic print of the scene of the crime. Really? Did it take like several hours for them to get this? You can clearly discern scorch marks around the bullet hole produced by the powder explosion. Interesting. In other words, we should assume that the victim was shot at close range. And would that imply that there would be reason to think the bullet should go all the way through? Thank you, counsel. The court will accept the modern scientific evidence into the record. Modern scientific evidence. Interesting. So that's a photographic print. Well, that's something I've never seen before. It's clearly superior to our drawing. The detail is incredible. This is all just incredibly interesting putting in this time period alone. It really plays with some interesting elements of the technology of the day, as well as just general medical knowledge that I'm not necessarily aware of from the time. What year was it again? I assume like 1800s. I assume. Very well. I'm satisfied with your answers. Let us start the trial. Certainly, Your Excellency. So, without further ado, in order to better apprise the court with the facts of the case, the prosecution hereby calls its first witness, who was there at the scene of the crime when it happened. This is it then? I think I may have worked out what the professor had in mind. The professor? You mean Dr. Mikotoba? Yes, clearly you're the defense lawyer today, not me, but that doesn't mean... Well, I can still act as your assistant. Oh, of course. That's what I was thinking earlier, but okay. If he... I'm trying to think of a reason outside of narrative suspense he wasn't able to just tell me that. Or tell him that. Whatever. When he was speaking with me before, he simply said, Kazuma Azuki must not be the defense lawyer in this trial. He really has been sticking his oar in, hasn't he? Maybe, but any help you can give me would be greatly appreciated, Kazuma. Well, my first piece of advice is... rein in that crazy look of bewilderment and control the cold sweats. Only if you rein in that crazy headband and control the cold stares first. I'm guessing this is just how a normal conversation goes for them. Waiter? Witness, state your name and occupation for the court, please. Of course. My name is Satoru Hosonaga. Okay. Of course, my name is Satoru Hosonaga. I'm the head waiter at a Western-style restaurant called Le Carnival. Oh, great. I was about to cough myself. Hello, bleeding from coughing. Are you alright? You seem to be coughing up some, It's a regular occurrence. It really does not bother me. Well, it really should. As everyone knows, the capital's southeastern quarter was developed for foreign visitors some years ago. It's become a very fashionable district now, full of hotels to accommodate overseas guests. This grim crime occurred in one of the district's so-called restaurants, an Occidental eatery 3 days ago. Understood. Hosonaga-san, You will kindly tell the court everything you can about the incident. At once, sir. And no petty interjections from the aspiring lawyer boy, please. Oh, perspiring, maybe, but aspiring? It was just after 2 p.m. on the day in question. We have few diners at that time of day. The lunchtime rush was over, and there were only 3 tables still occupied. That fits in with my memory of it, too. There's hardly anyone else in the place. It was when I was in the kitchen, putting away crockery and cutlery. A gunshot rang out, so I hurried out to the dining area to see what had happened. I found the victim, an English gentleman, slumped in his chair, and standing immediately beside him, gun in hand, was the accused university student.
Yes!
Wait, no, don't say... Why is that yes? They probably should have used a different word for that. Hold on. Let me clarify something here. Well, I did pick up the gun that I found lying on the floor beside the professor. I didn't shoot him.
Objection!
Objection! I believe I asked you to refrain from petty interjections. The court wishes to listen to the witness's report of what he saw, you amateur. But... the next time you interrupt at an inappropriate time, you will be penalized, Defendant Naruto. Don't worry, Ryunosuke. You'll have your chance to fight back. For now, we must just quietly listen to the witness. Ugh. If I may confirm one point, waiter. Standing beside the victim with a gun in hand was the same man we see here in court today. Yes, without question. I see. And apart from the accused, was there anyone else standing beside the victim? No. There was no one else around that table but the deceased Englishman and the university student. Uh-huh. Wait, did you just say... There was no one else around that table? Interesting. What's the matter, Ryunosuke? That's just not right. No, that's wrong! No, that's wrong is Danganronpa! Damn it! Oh, I get them mixed up nowadays. When I went over to Dr. Wilson to say hello, there was a woman sitting opposite to him at his table. Really? I feel like we would have talked about this at some point. That's not something the waiter could have missed. I've been warned about interjecting, but still, what should I do? Does that have save? Yes, it does. Fantastic. Okay. Just in case. It's not just like one thing. Wait and see. I'm guessing the point of waiting and seeing is that I'll have a chance to... Especially because I don't have any proof of it. I'm guessing waiting and see will give me an opportunity to poke his story full of holes and whatnot. I desperately want to say something, but I was told not to interject. Ryunosuke, if your parents tell you to study, you're the kind of man who would diligently get to work, aren't you? I suppose I am. I never got into Yume University otherwise. But you can't just always follow the rules in life, you know? If you don't say what you want to say right now, you'll seriously regret it when you're found guilty. Okay, am I not going to get a chance to cross-examine then? Is that what you're saying? Alright, you've scared me. I won't forget that piece of advice in a hurry. And that is something I want to say. I'm just going to shut my eyes and say it.
Yes!
I mean to say yes! It's just a moment, please. Dr. Wilson wasn't alone that day. I'm sure of it. There's a lady sitting with him at the same table.
Objection!
Dear me, dear me. What are we gonna do with you? With your blatant disregard for court proceedings, I'm beginning to wonder if you're not a fraud. I didn't get a choice, buddy. It was a non-choice choice. Could it be that the accused, this mere student, is not a real lawyer after all? But I'm sure of what I saw. Osanaga-san, is there any chance you're mistaken? Perhaps your memory's events is hazy? No. The deceased gentleman came to dine alone. I don't believe it. I actually have a rough plan of the restaurant as it was that day. Please, have a look if you'd like to. Convenient. Let me see. Ah, a sketch of the establishment's layout drawn by yourself, perhaps. That's right. I'm afraid I used the back of my business card. It was a turbulent situation. However, as you can see, the gentleman in question was seated alone. Well, you're clearly a very conscientious waiter. Thank you, sir. The court will take this plan and add it to the court record as evidence. Oh, well... Is there a problem? Hand the plan to the court officer at once. Of course. Here you are. Okay. Is there's something completely and utterly wrong with it? Not there yet. What's that about? He'd been completely calm and collected until now. Something certainly seems to have shaken him. Outside of the coughing. So, the court has now heard a process of the case. I've never heard that word before. Neato. Entrance kitchen makes sense. Magnifying glass. Ooh. Pretty. What did he write this with? Did you have like... I didn't have like pens back then. Like a quill? But interesting. Does this actually show people sitting in any given place? It seems like it's just showing... the chairs. Because it was not full enough for each of these to be a person, yeah? Yes. At the moment the gunshot was heard in the restaurant, the only person in close proximity to the victim was the defendant on trial today. It would seem we are looking at a black and white case here. Defendant Naruhodo. Yes, Your Excellency? If you admit your guilt at this stage, the court is willing to look mercifully upon you. In other words, you may have some small reprieve in terms of your inevitable punishment. I called the waiter as an unsworn witness in order to explain the details of the case to the court. But I must warn the defense, if you are determined to pursue matters further in this trial, the prosecution has decisive evidence from sworn witnesses who are present at the scene of the crime. That's just more information for me to tear apart. Bring him on. What do you think I should do, Kazuma? What do you mean? Well, I'm going to be found guilty one way or another, it seems. Would it be sensible to plead guilty at this stage and offer a more lenient sentence? Everyone keeps telling me that this trial is unusual, about these peculiarities. You said it, Professor Mikotopa said it, and so is the judge and even the prosecution. I'm scared of what lies ahead if I push this. As I said from the outset, I believe you're innocent. I trust you. And yet, despite knowing that, you're willing now to throw that trust back in my face. Is that it? What? If the accused is in fact innocent, then a defense lawyer is duty-bound to prove that innocence by whatever means necessary. Are you just going to abandon that duty? Are you going to give up on yourself? The battle hasn't even begun yet, Ryunosuke. The defense pleads not guilty, Your Excellency. We invite the prosecution to stop making empty threats and bring out its witnesses. Then we'll see just how decisive this evidence really is. Dean. Prosecutor Amchi, please continue with the proceedings. Well, you were warned. The young can be so reckless. You know, many call me a saint, but I can be a devil when I want to be, like in the bed, and when I start poking people with that little hair braid on top of my head. But I can only poke people with my pointy hair. That's so much more girth to it. In a few short moments from now, that dumbstruck young mouth of yours will be silenced forever. The prosecution calls its next witnesses. Ah! Very well. Officer, bring forth the witnesses at once. Oh, I really need a drink of water. Doing some of these voices is just not great on my throat. The judge in particular is just like, yes, I really have to go down into that. And his is just like high and scratchy. Witnesses, kindly state your names and occupations for the court. Yes, sir. The Great Nippon Imperial Army Sergeant. Yes, sir. No, sir. Reporting for duty, sir. Myself. I find employees a purveyor of fine articles of antiquity from the efflorescence of our nation, Nippon. I conduct my trade from Rasate, a humble premises in the 2nd District. Curio, Gorikuta, at your services. An antique dealer and a soldier. What an unusual pairing. Both of these gentlemen were present at the restaurant in the day in question. They must be the diners at the other table the waiter mentioned. Myself, I habitually take tea of the most exquisite aroma at the establishment in question, always past noon. I not infrequently converse with interested parties regarding what curios with which I make my business. I can't understand a word that old man is saying. Is he speaking Japanese or... Oh no, he's speaking English, isn't he? He's an antique dealer, and it sounds like he's a regular at Le Carnival. He seeks out potential customers who may have an interest in antiques and tries to sell his wares to them. Of course, if you're having people that are regulars in a big foreign district, they're probably people with a lot of money. Because if you're coming from England to Japan, you probably have enough money to stay there for an extended period of time, which means you probably have a lot of money. In general, that makes sense. He obviously targets La Carnival because it's a high-class restaurant with a rich clientele. Right, I see. Although, to be honest, that sergeant looks more like he'd be a seller rather than a buyer. Now, you both witnessed the precise moment of the most atrocious incident. Is that correct? Affirmative. The enemy unit was seen attacking the foreigner in what can only be described as an act of war, sir! Who is that black uniformed rogue infantryman over there who unloaded his firearm, sir? This man says impossible to understand as the other. Also, wait, did I hear something at the end there? But I'm also sure I heard a strange noise during that last thing he said. So, this is the decisive evidence the prosecution was threatening. Why wouldn't you start with it? The soldier is claiming he actually saw the precise moment he shot the victim dead. Yeah. Well, are you starting to feel uncomfortable? If I'm honest, I was feeling uncomfortable from the start. Now, the court will hear your formal testimony. Please. You will state everything you saw at the precise moment that the incident occurred. Sir, yes, sir. Standing by, ready to report, sir. That is a baby crying. Unsavory memories of a most acerbic afternoon. It would have gone well with a tomato. Oh boy, 2 of them at once? What the witnesses saw. I was ingesting a regulation beef steak at the restaurant while having a technical discussion with the old man. Myself, I was extolling the virtues of a particularly fine golden curio to the military gentleman. At the precise moment, a firearm was discharged. I observed the enemy's actions with my own eyes. The black uniform varsity cadet fired on the English civilian, and from the back, the cowardly little weasel. Wait, what? From the back? Okay, we found it. I was on my hands and knees, investigating the whereabouts of my mysteriously absconded precious curio. Well, so you, Sergeant Nosa, actually witnessed the vital moment. You saw the split second when the defendant fired the weapon at the victim. Yes, sir. Affirmative, sir. That wicked university cadet, sir. The cruel and unforgivable enemy. The way is a knife. What times were you living when an English gentleman may be assailed in the broad lights of day? But this is ridiculous. I didn't shoot anyone. Is that really true, Ryunosuke? You're not doubting me, are you? Yes. All I did was pick up the gun and saw it lying on the floor. Why did you pick it up? Why are you dumb? That seems like a bad idea in its own right. After I said hello to Dr. Wilson, I went back to my table and sat drinking some coffee. Then when I finished, I got up from my seat to leave the restaurant when I noticed an English-made gun next to the chair where the professor was sitting. I thought perhaps the professor had dropped it. So I bent down, and just as I was picking it up, bang. Another bang? Well, if that is the truth, there was obviously a criminal on the scene somewhere. I'm guessing we're prior to, like, whatever you call it, like, the barrel markings that you can identify a gun, and, basically like gun fingerprints, where you can figure out that a bullet came from a specific gun, that sort of thing. I assume we're pre that sort of investigative, evidence. Ballistic markings, right? Actually, that's what they're called. And somewhere in these 2 witnesses' testimonies, there's a clue as to who the criminal was. There is? Ryunosuke, you must exercise your right to cross-examine the witnesses. Cross-examine? Do it now. As we have heard, Your Excellency, there is no room for doubt in the testimony of these witnesses. The defendant is clearly guilty. It is time to bring this despicable student to justice. Certainly. The testimony the court has just heard eliminates any vestige of doubt. Therefore, it is my grave duty to declare the verdict—
Yes!
Stop saying yes! It's so inappropriate every time you— What in the name of the Emperor is the meaning of this outburst? I mean, the defense demands its right to cross-examination. Dear me. Let me guess. The Hachimaki headband boy next door told me to do it. How pathetic. Huh? How did he know? I think he could guess. The prosecution objects. This is a clear waste of time. The defendant obviously has no experience. How could he possibly carry out a cross-examination?
Objection!
The defense is asserting its right to a cross-examination. Whether or not you think he's capable of it is irrelevant. Cosmo's so commanding. Very well. Let the defense conduct a cross-examination of the witnesses. Alright, this is where the battle really begins, Ryunosuke. But I don't even know what I have to do in a cross-examination. Isn't it obvious? You examine them, but you cross the examination Yes. You have to expose the lies in the witnesses' statements. How? You didn't fire the gun, which means what the soldier said has to be a lie. Well, yes, but it's just a case of proving it. And the key to doing that is evidence. Right, evidence. Wow, we are an hour in. Oh my goodness. I didn't think we had taken that long. One sec. This directly says the front. This doesn't say the front. This directly shows the front, and that's pretty definitive. All you need to do is present some decisive, indisputable evidence that proves the witness's lie. You know, super easy to do. Much easier to do than to say. Now let's go, Ryunosuke. Don't let them beat you. Yeah, there's only one guy let beat me. Wait, no, that came out wrong. Alright then, it's all or nothing. Okay, I mean, we know what it is, yeah?
Yes!
Stop saying yes. That is going to infuriate me if that's going to be constantly what he says, and it makes no sense every time. What are you playing at, cadets? What is the meaning of the subordination? Thrusting some photographic print in my mustache? Inconsistency, sir! Not even contradiction. Inconsistency! I mean, yes, there's a clear inconsistency here. What nonsense. What can this print possibly tell us that we don't already know? Oh my goodness. Well, obviously, that... I know what I want to say, but the words just won't come out of my mouth. I think this proves beyond any doubt, Your Excellency, that there's no place for an amateur student here in the Grand Courtroom. Frustrating! Oh, please. Surely this doesn't require an explanation. It couldn't be more plain. Spell it out. Would be an insult to the court. Yes, that's what I was going for, definitely. Thank you, Kazuma. Kazuma, what? What are you talking about? It's apparent from a single glance at the photographic print presented by the defense that there's a clear discrepancy here with the sergeant's statement. What? Sergeant? Yes sir, no sir. Yes sir, what sir? The statement you just made was this. The black uniform varsity cadet fired on the English civilian. And from the back, the cowardly little weasel. Yes, sir! Affirmative, sir! I witnessed the crime with my own military-grade eyes, sir! Well, military-grade must be really low in Japan at this point in history.
Yes!
But no, that just can't be! And why not, cadet? Because... Take a close look at the print. The victim, Dr. Wilson, died from a bullet wound to the chest. Sergeant, according to your witness statement, the culprit shot the victim from behind. And that is the obvious discrepancy here. Well, how do you explain it? There it is. Forcing it back down. Okay, it's fairly obvious where the baby sound's coming from now. What the fuck? What was that? Something just popped up from behind his back, but he pushed it down again. Certainly, there is a clear discrepancy with the facts here. Would you not agree, Sergeant Nosa? Yes, sir. At this juncture, that would appear to be indisputable. He looked over at the prosecution. He looked over at the prosecution. Were you told to say that? Until the moment I heard the firearm discharge, my eyes were firmly fixed on the delicious Lake Carnival steak, sir. What? Oh no, okay, he was just, he didn't know. Okay, of course he didn't know. He he just said what he wanted to hear. The last testimony the court heard has proven one thing beyond all reasonable doubt. This witness, Sergeant Yes or No, sir, did not see the defendant firing a gun at all. That's absurd. I think the conclusion we must draw is simple. There is no place for an amateur prosecutor here in this grand courtroom. Yeah! Inconsistencies here. There's been a complete turnabout in the mood of the trial, just from that one discrepancy. So this is what being an ace attorney is all about. Yes, guys. But I definitely saw him. That university cadet there. He's pointing the firearm directly at the victim's back. Back, eh?
Yes!
But I never fired the gun. All I did was pick it up off the floor. And you, old man, didn't see the moment the victim was shot either. Myself, I have already been quite clear. The gunshot interests me not. I was far too busy on the floor. Too busy on the floor? Sorry, what were you doing again? Hunting for treasure. Treasure? Indeed. Oi, Karakoban, my prize coin. On each occasion when I visited that restaurant, it is my habitude to place in my bosom pocket a particular trinket of interest from my shop rasite, in the hope of meeting a rich diner who might like to buy it from you, yes? On the day under scrutiny, it was the military man that I preferred my holy treasure. I believed that he would purchase such a rare find. I did not. But I was presented with a little alternative. And then, after averting my eyes for the briefest of moments, it was there no more. It simply vanished. How valuable is this? Is this valuable enough that you think someone might kill someone randomly in the spur of the moment to create a distraction? I wonder. It could be as simple as that. The interesting thing is, okay, so you definitely saw. So okay, I guess the other element to it is the military man is like, he seems sincere at this point. He's just fudging the truth a little bit, and it seems he's very sincere about what he's saying now, in that he saw our guy behind him, which would imply that he was still facing towards the table at that time, or at least was on the other side of him, which clears him, doesn't it? At least a little bit. But the earlier stuff from Ryunosuke did seem to imply that the gunshot did happen at that time, though. So whoever shot it was there at the time? Oh, and then there's the fact that you have the burn marks on the on the clothing, but the bullet didn't go all the way through. So if you have a situation where they shot them and they set something up to make it look like they were shot from a closer range to frame him, if they shot it at that point, they wouldn't have had time, right, to do that. But if they shot them in between, like if they shot them and then just shot again in order to get people's attention to think a shot had happened, then wouldn't that imply that, I mean, how would you shoot him earlier? I don't think there's like really good silencer technology in this day and age, yeah? Let alone, like, I don't think silencers really work like as well as like fiction typically makes them out to be anyways, so. The Koban vanished? Hunting around under the table I was, in case a mayhap had fallen there, and then it happened. You heard the gunshot, you mean? Indeed I did, but I heeded it not, if I was only concerned with finding my absconded Hoy treasure. Nothing could distract me. Out of interest, did you find the coin in the end? No. I see. That lamentable day, my precious Hoikoban was lost to me. No doubt, some unscrupulous scoundrel pocketed the prize coin for himself. Oh boy. Why were they even talking in the first place? Was he just the only person there? As I'm sure everyone present is aware, this case demands a swift and decisive resolution. Our government has promised to send a full report to Great Britain by telegraph this very afternoon. Nevertheless, the witness testimony the court has just heard was inconclusive. No matter how subservient our government feels it must be to Britain, it would be unforgivable to deliver a verdict on this trial right now. What is your position, Prosecutor Ochi? Worry not, Your Excellency. The defendant may have fled a tiger at the front gate, but he'll find a wolf at the back. My witness has a further testimony to make. Explain. Upon hearing their next statements, it will become abundantly clear that there is only one person who could possibly have committed this despicable crime. The equally despicable defendant, Ryunosuke Naruto. What? He really seems to have a despicable opinion of you, doesn't he? Very well. The court invites the witness to testify again. You will thoroughly explain the reasoning behind the prosecution's allegation. Is that clear? As clear as Kiriko glass, Your Excellency? That could be very not clear, I have no idea. Some glass is very not clear. Yes, sir, at once, sir. Awaiting signal to testify. Sir! Excuse me, but there's someone peeking out over your shoulder, I think. Affirmative. The newest member of the Nosa family to rise up through the ranks, sir. Name, Ido. It would seem those straps are a sign of the sergeant being too strapped to afford a nanny. Ido. Jean Shun. Your father is about to quell the enemy. Watch and learn, my boy. Don't shoot an ally. Even if what I saw wasn't the precise moment the fire was discharged, it's almost the same thing. Yes, pointing his gun at the foreign man, he was that young lad in the black. That much myself I did see. Furthermore, a visual search of the premises at the time confirmed we were the only personnel present. Indeed, alone he was, the Englishman, dining all by himself. Therefore, no one other than the black uniformed cadet could have dispatched the Englishman. Over and out. So it comes down to this again, basically. Okay. These testimonies up. Wait, that's nonsense. The victim, Dr. Wilson, wasn't alone at all. Please, enough of these outbursts already. But there was a woman. There's a young woman at the table. You must have seen her. Everyone there must have seen her.
Objection!
If you call yourself a lawyer, then you respect the rules of the court and speak accordingly. You're not here to listen to your fantasies. This is evident beyond reasonable doubt that the victim was alone at the time of the incident. The prosecution has photographic evidence of this fact. Oh, you have more photos? This is the photographic print of the scene of the crime, Counsel. Indeed. At the table at which the victim was dining, taken by an investigator immediately after the incident. Shit, okay. I don't see anything immediately obvious. There's only one place said. Certainly, based on the appearance of this print. it would be reasonable to conclude that the victim was not in the company of anyone else. Doesn't make any sense. The court will add this new photographic evidence to the record. I don't understand. What's going on here? Not possible that nobody else saw that woman. The waiter before said the same thing. He maintains that Dr. Wilson came to the restaurant alone as well. But that's not true. I saw her. I swear that I saw a woman with him. Was it an English woman, maybe? Maybe it's a diplomatic thing? I don't know. It would seem that we'll be able to telegraph the report to Great Britain on time after all. The witness testimonies we have just heard leave no further room for doubt. These are very sensitive political times, as we know. The ink is still fresh on the treaty with Great Britain. To think that I, Takasuchi Aochi, will have contributed to the amity of these two great empires is an honor. How can this be happening? The judge is ready to rule. Stand tall, Ryunosuke. It is not over yet. What? If what you said is true, then there's something going on here behind the scenes. And now is your chance to expose it, to draw out the truth in your cross-examination. I don't know, Kazuma. The defense is entitled to cross-examine the witnesses, but make it quick, understood? No, I'm gonna take all day. Rules can be so unbending at times. Weren't you just going on about following court procedure? You were, like, legitimately lecturing me for that before. Fucking hell, man. Okay. Press.
Yes!
You must have noticed someone else at Dr. Wilson's table. There was a lady there.
Objection!
As you have been at pains to point out time and time again. I feel I'm growing a callus in my ear. Oh, do please keep doing that then. And yet, no one else appears to have caught even a glimpse of this woman. Only there'd been more people dining there at the time. Someone else would have noticed her. Unfortunately, it was already past 2 p.m. when it happened. The quiet time between lunch and dinner in any restaurant. Which probably means it was planned to be at that time, yeah? I know. Of course, the place was almost empty. It's what you'd expect. Certainly. 2 p.m. is neither here nor there in terms of a time to eat. Is it 2 p.m. yet? Oh, it's way past 2 p.m. I need dinner soon. And that is why he was alone. Yes, Your Excellency. There was indeed a reason. Oh, there was? This was found in the victim's jacket pocket. What is that, Counsel? It is a medical report card, Your Excellency. It seemed that the victim had an appointment at a clinic prior to visiting the restaurant. Hold a clinic. Hold a clinic. Oh god, you know what? I think I remember that. I vaguely remember that as like some really hyped up antsy doctor, I think, from the original trilogy at some point. It sounds really familiar. Again, it's been years, but yes, there would indeed appear to be an entry for the date in question. 19th of November, noon to past 1 p.m. The very day of the incident. So the victim went for a late lunch following his appointment. The explanation can be more simple. The prosecution felt no need to submit this evidence before, as it really has no bearing on the case. I wonder... What do you think, Ryunosuke? Well, it's hard to see how it could be related, really. Well, let's look at it in more detail. Remember, you can request for it to be entered into the court record as evidence if you think it could be useful. I mean, the worst case is I don't use it.
Yes!
Oh my goodness, it was appropriate this time! If I may, I'd like to ask for that medical report card to be submitted as evidence, Your Excellency. On what grounds? The court has already heard conclusive witness testimony. Additional evidence would be extraneous. Not to mention that the victim's movements prior to his arrival at the restaurant are of no concern. But it establishes a timeline. Whether or not they are of concern is up to us to decide. We have a right to explore all possible avenues. We have a right to explore all possible avenues. I beg your pardon? You have no authority to refuse a perfectly valid request for the submission of evidence. Very well. The court will grant the defense's request. Youngsters these days are forever asserting their rights. It's a most disturbing trend. Officer, kindly add the victim's medical report card to the court record. Got it. Okay. Let's figure this out. Nope. Can't look at it. Got it. We need new clues. We have to explore things from every possible angle, even if they don't seem relevant at first. Right. I hear you. You can conspire to prolong this trial as much as you like, but it's the day after the festival already for you. Or perhaps you've forgotten that these witness testimonies leave no room for doubt. Feel free to reiterate for the accused, Kurikuda-san. Okay. Can we look at it now? Nope. Dining all by himself. I guess press again.
Yes!
So you actually saw that with your own eyes, did you? The victim, Dr. Wilson, dining alone? That I did. Forgive me for the position I place you in. So the testimonies of the old man, the soldier, and the waiter all agree on that point. Isn't that interesting? And let us not forget the incontestable evidence we have to support their statements as well. As can be clearly seen, there's only a single beef steak on the victim's table, a meal for one. No. I mean, I wanna look in more detail at the freaking medical report. That's what I wanna do. The antique dealer, the sergeant, and the waiter who testified before. It's not impossible that they're all lying. Not impossible, but incredibly unlikely as a coincidence that they all have reasons, separate reasons to lie. And they don't seem related enough to potentially be in on the same reason, right? Unless they're co-conspirators to the killing! Seems unlikely given their personalities, at least these two. The waiter we didn't really talk to too much. If I'm perfectly honest, I have absolutely no idea.
Yes!
Why are you telling the truth? What did you say, cadet? I clearly remember. I will say she does sort of look white from this angle. There was a woman sitting across the table from the professor. It doesn't look like she's eating anything in the memory either. Perhaps one of you might not have noticed. But for both of you to have failed to see the professor's dining companion, it's just not possible. True. If she was there, and they both are looking away, which does imply some semblance of, thinking that there probably was someone there. And they're just, lying. Well, you know what I said before, maybe it was an English woman. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it is just legitimately... It's white-on-white crime, man. They gotta cover that up. Or something like that, so they're having everyone lie. Unfortunately for you, Defendant Naruto, it's just not a case of these two witnesses alone. Sorry? The waiter, whose testimony the court heard earlier, clearly stated the same thing. He also said that the victim was alone. That's right. Precisely, in other words. You are the sole proponent of this phantom lady. But If such a woman were indeed present at the scene, prosecution demands to see proof. And if no such proof exists, the prosecution demands that no further mention of this phantom woman be made. It's a blatant waste of the court's time. There's nothing I can say to that. Or is it? Excellent work, Ryunosuke. You got berated at the end there. That's exactly what I expected out of you. We've gleaned some new information now. Well, yes, but I don't feel like it changes much. I can't see that it brings any real discrepancies to light. I wouldn't be so sure. Let me see that medical report card you got before. Yes, are we gonna look at it now? Oh, you mean this? Yes, this is a brand new piece of evidence. So perhaps we should examine it in a little more detail. How exactly? Mini-games! You notice that some pieces of evidence bear a magnifying glass. These are the ones you may examine. Oh, okay. Press A and you take a closer look at the piece in question. Use the analog stick to move it in a 3D space like you know video games have had for a while. And then move a cursor with, I guess, what would normally be the camera button. Or analog stick. Yes. Yes. I very much get it at the very least. If the crosshairs start to pulsate, press A to investigate further. This is a very technical and realistic explanation you've given me. Thank you, Kazuma. Let's look at it then. This is FYI, if you're not used to the series, this is a tutorial case, basically. It's very straightforward. It's very much something where they're going to lead you to all the answers. Oh, okay, so they do that for the translation. Name Dr. John Wilson. Oh, cool. It says Hoda Clinic. I hate clinics, almost as much as I hate hospitals and surgeries. Aren't they all the same? When I was 5, I caught the only cold I've ever had in my life. And I remember, even though I felt awful already, I had to have this hideous injection in my right arm. I'll never forget it. Never my whole life. Most people would give their right arm to have only had one cold in their entire life. Anyway, I don't think this is a clinic where they treat people for illnesses like that. Let's keep looking for clues. We don't want to miss anything. Okay, that's a fair question. What do they? Hoda Clinic. Dentist! Ooh. I was looking for what type. Dentist. Did he have some work done? Could have he eaten solid foods afterwards? Let's have a look at some kind of medical history. And there's an entry for the day the professor was killed. Extraction of molar with topical anesthesia. Extraction of molar? You mean he had a tooth taken out? It seems so. Just before the incident, he had a bad tooth removed. Perhaps they used the laughing gas. That's the most modern practice in the West for pain relief. Yeah, I've heard of this anesthesia. Although it's hard to believe there's anything that could actually stop you from feeling pain. There's a cautionary note from the medical practitioner as well. Strictly no food or drink besides water for 3 hours post-procedure until anesthetic effects have passed. Really? Sounds like information worth bearing in mind. The medical report? Yeah! I knew there would be information in here. The meaning of that one particular statement totally changes. So, I think it's time we listen to the testimony again, don't you think? Definitely! Yeah, let's go. Okay, let's go.
Yes!
Well, I think, what are you wittering about, lad? You calling yourself a lawyer? I wish I could. But first and foremost here, I am the accused. Ryunosuke. Everyone stumbles on the words occasionally. Under the circumstances, I wouldn't worry about it. Thanks, Kazuma. I could see it quite clearly in that cross-examination you just carried out. When you raised your hand straight up like that, so purposefully. You knew exactly what it was you wanted to say. Don't feel like you have to choose your words carefully. Just say what you're thinking. Alright. And thanks for the advice. Korikuta-san. This is the medical report belonging to the victim. I see. And I don't see. What of it, boy? Comparing what is written on this report card with your witness statement, something clearly doesn't add up.
Objection!
Dear me. Have you forgotten my word so soon, you amateur? Sorry, what? You are not to interrupt court proceedings with your amateurish drivel. But let's see if I can explain in words you might understand. It was after 2 p.m. in the afternoon when the victim was murdered at the restaurant. Whatever he may have or may have not done before that time is completely irrelevant. Ugh, but that's wrong. It's up. Remember, Ryunosuke, you don't have to use clever language or fancy words. Just make your points. Your Excellency, I believe we're finished here. There's surely no need to prolong this trial further. The witness testimonies the court has heard have been clear and concise. The medical report card has no bearing on the matter at all. For that simple reason, there is no one else besides the pale-faced pupil who... Oh, interrupted. The medical report card has nothing to do with the case? Do you really believe that? What? That outburst half petrified me, boy. You want to make a bet on it? You want to make a bet on it, buddy? Of course I believe it. How could it possibly be relevant? Perhaps because Hota Clinic, which issued the report card, is a dental clinic. A dental clinic? Is that supposed to mean something to me? Let's see your teeth. Yeah, give us a big smile. Perhaps if I told you that the victim had just had a tooth extracted. What is this now? Okay, yeah, he definitely doesn't understand. Open your mouth, give us a big nice smile. And furthermore, if I told you that as a result the victim had been forbidden from eating... Just what are you trying to say, Cadet? He had orders not to eat, so what? It's all written up in here. No food or drink other than water for 3 hours post-procedure while anesthesia wears off. What? No, that can't... Horikuta-san. What, boy? What? As you just heard, when he was killed, sometime shortly after 2 p.m., the victim couldn't have been eating anything at all. No. Additionally, there's more? You have assured the court with unwavering self-confidence that the victim was dining alone. But that cannot possibly be the case. Ugh. Because the victim, as we know now, had just had one of his teeth extracted and was still experiencing the effects of the anesthetic. Expertly done, partner.
Objection!
What is this nonsense, you little upstart? Yeah, this is how it always goes. These are baseless accusations. Just look at this photographic evidence. You can clearly see the plate of food at the victim's table.
Objection!
Use your head. That's the very discrepancy we're talking about. Or can't you follow the logic? How dare you? I think it's fair to say that the tables in this restaurant case have turned. Wouldn't you agree, Ryunosuke? Huh? Oh, yes, most definitely. they have a nice rapport between them. So, having just undergone some dental surgery, the victim was unable to eat, which leaves one very crucial conundrum. Who, in fact, was eating the pictured beefsteak? The court will hear the opinion of the defense on this new puzzle. I assume you are ready, counsel. Counsel? That means me, doesn't it? Alright, the answer to this question is going to be pivotal. This is the start of you turning this trial around. Show them what you're made of. Got it. The person eating the steak at the victim's table must have been... me! Wait, shit, no!
Yes!
Don't say yes! I sort of did that on instinct. My bad. I wasn't totally committed to doing it, then I just did it. I think it may have been me. What?
Objection!
It's not enough that you took the man's life, but you took his meal as well. That's a beefsteak with a crying face. Some people seem to think they can do whatever they like. And some people seem to think they can say whatever they like, Ryunosuke. Sorry, you're right. Of course I didn't eat it. The next time you make a quip like that, I'll make you eat your words. And you'll be needing some dental surgery yourself. Alright. I get the message. Those are so fucking worth it. Obviously, it could only have been someone else who was sitting at the professor's table.
Objection!
You will not let this go, will you? There was no such person.
Yes!
That was, because I saw her. When the incident occurred, we know that the victim couldn't have been eating anything. Yet we have evidence of a half-eaten steak on his table. Therefore, the only logical conclusion is that there was somebody else there eating it. We have strong evidence to support our assertion. It's clear that these witness testimonies are unreliable. If the court decides to push through a ruling at this stage, we will lodge a formal complaint with the Ministry of Justice and pursue a fair retrial, relentlessly. Kazuma? Are you insane? You would take on the government? Do not worry, Counsel. I have no issue with you. What do you mean? Well, maybe a little bit with your hair, but... I have issue with them. Those two witnesses in the stand. What? What are you talking about? We have demonstrated with evidence that the victim was not alone. So, if it now turns out the two of you deliberately lied when giving your testimonies, obviously, you'll be charged with perjury. Perjury? Is it? What is perjury? Is it tasty? And since this is a murder trial, you'll also be deemed complicit in the killing. Complicit? Murder? No! Negative! There was no mention of this at the tactical meeting. I was just following orders. That's right, as the man says. Just say you never saw the gentlewoman. That's what they told us. They? Or they? Oh. What? What did you just say? Koryuta-san? Oh, no. You were just following orders? No, hold on, lad. I was, Say you never saw the gentlewoman? When you say gentlewoman, do you mean... You saw the victim with a lady from overseas? What?
Objection!
What is the meaning of all this? These witnesses gave false statements? Is this true, you pair? Just one. Just one simple slip of the tongue. Are you gonna double back, or? Order. Counsel, explain what is going on here. It is painfully clear now. You tried to prevent these witnesses from telling the truth. Absolutely not. The prosecution knows nothing of this. Then who? Then who's behind this? Who tried to make you keep your mouth shut? Well, that's classified. So you're prepared to be tried as conspiracy in this murder, are you? You wouldn't... It's gotta be happening! Inosuke, judging from the way they're reacting to this, I'd say they were sworn to silence by someone with considerable influence. I was gonna say they both seem like they have money issues. Him for losing his koban, him for, you know, the thing pulling his mustache. So I was wondering if someone was paying them, but this level, no, yeah, it seems like someone who, they're in a lose-lose situation. However, I don't believe Archie had any idea about it. Yeah, he doesn't have the balls. What are you saying? I mean, to wield that kind of influence, there are only a handful of possibilities. It can only have been the government, the military, or the police, I suppose. Well, any ideas on who might be behind all this? If we can affirm who tried to silence these witnesses, then we can continue our pursuit. Okay. I mean, if we're looking at this whole thing going around, the most likely one seems to be the government. Political machinations, yeah? Yeah, the white-on-white crime. Oh my god, that's horrible. Of course, we'll need evidence before we can make any firm accusations. Evidence that proves whoever it really did. Evidence that proves whoever it was really did wield his or her power here. But how? How can we possibly? Remember how we made progress before? We examined this piece of evidence in more detail. Found a new clue as a result. Oh yes, that's right. Well, we don't have that much evidence. That's not the only piece of evidence we have, is it? We need to re-examine everything, and make sure there's nothing we've missed. There's no time to lose. Okay. Got it. Obviously this is gonna be a thing. Ah, the symbol of Yuma University. The judge is like, why are you looking at that, guys? Every student wears this pin with pride. It's funny, but most emblems seem to be either round or rectangular. I like this spike design. It is weirdly spiky, almost like it might be used to kill someone later. It doesn't really make any sense. Although, it does cause problems. Lots of students end up cutting their fingers on their badges. Perhaps it was the idea of one of the founders, a sharp pin for the sharp mind or something. Okay. Look at this in more detail. Okay, no, that's just... Look at them all in more detail. I don't know. This is just a blurry image. Which basically leaves... This is also probably just a blurry image. Yeah, it seems so. Which basically just leaves this. So you think it's the waiter in some way? The plan of the restaurant raises a number of questions, I think. Definitely. It's supposed to show the relative position of everything in the moments following the incident. But there's nothing to show the woman you say you saw there. Exactly. That's not all. Look here in the upper left. It's where it says kitchen. Okay. Oh, yes. What's of it? No one would use these complicated characters to write kitchen, especially not if they were in a hurry. That's a fair point. It's definitely not something I ever would have thought of, given my lack of Japanese knowledge. Implying that it was planned. Implying the waiter's in on it. You mean you don't remember those characters yourself, don't you? Study harder, Ryunosuke. He just has it memorized. There he is. Oh my... Okay, there it is. Well, that's unexpected. What is... Look, Don't you say it says the witness's name here? Satoru Hosonaga. Well, yes, business cards do tend to show the person's name. That's sort of the point. That's not the name that's unexpected. It's his job title. His job? Oh, Chief Inspector Satoru Hosonaga, Primary Criminal Investigation Division, Imperial Police Bureau. You know, I suppose there is a point. I said the government was the most likely. But also, you could have the left hand not talking to the right hand. Both sides trying to hide shit. Inspector? What on earth? I have no idea. Well, let's face it. The police have a lot of power and influence. If they're wielding it somehow here... Okay. That seems like the thing. I want answers! If it's proven that these witnesses have been manipulated, I assure you the penalty will be severe. Please wait! Your Excellency! I had no idea about any of this! I swear to every Shinto god, maybe even the Christian one! Oh no, I knew nothing! And what does the defense have to say about all this? Well, Your Excellency, no time to think. I'm just going to have to close my eyes and shout out the first name that comes to my head. Besides the prosecution, the only person with the necessary influence to manipulate the witnesses is... Bada bing, bada boom, bada bing, bada go. I keep pressing A. I keep pressing A to try to present stuff. Well, surely that would be Satoru Hosonaga-san. Hosonaga-san, the waiter who took the stand earlier.
Objection!
Poppycock! What possible reason would the waiter have to make these witnesses give false testimony? Not to mention the fact that even a head waiter could not possibly have that level of influence. For once, I would agree with you. If, that is, the man were truly a waiter. But what? If he truly were? Come on, Ryunosuke. Time to hit this court with the truth. The truth about Hosonaga-san's real identity as proven by this evidence.
Yes!
The plan of the restaurant sketched by the man in question. I agree it shows a great deal of attention to detail, but I'm not sure we can conclude anything. Sorry, Your Excellency, that's the back of the card. It's the back of the card, of the back of the card that's of interest. I beg your pardon. I don't know. Oh, perhaps I should say the front? Oh, it's the back of the back. Oh, that's what we're saying. Okay. Yes, the front and the back of the card. That's where the textile detail is. He's already one of my favorite Ace Attorney characters. Oh my goodness. I'll say this now. From the previous stuff, Apollo was my favorite. Somebody please explain what this overexcited student is trying to say. Hosonaga-san sketched the plan of the restaurant on the reverse side of his business card. The front of that business card reveals the man in question's profession. His true profession? The waiter's profession. But that's surely... Good gracious. You know, if he had the time to write out kitchen all fancy-like, why would he use his normal business card? Was this not actually planned? He just had the time and to plan out a solution. He may just not have like another paper resource available to him, which means that there are some limitations, but maybe not as much as right after. That is right, Your Excellency. The card reads, Chief Inspector, Primary Criminal Investigation Division, Imperial Police Bureau. What? The waiter is a police detective? I haven't heard any mention of this before. Why haven't I heard any mention of this before? The Imperial Police Bureau has immense power. Absolute power, as far as regular civilians are concerned. So, witnesses there in the stand. Was it in fact the waiter who gave you your orders? Was he the one who told you not to mention that you'd seen this foreign gentlewoman at the scene? Well... Hold it, it says... There we are. Inspector Hosonaga? I was worried something like this may happen. The moment you asked me to submit my sketch as evidence, I realized it was a possibility. Yes, I do remember him acting suspicious there. Yes, I remember now. He did act strangely when the judge asked him to hand over his business card. I strive to carry out all investigations flawlessly. It is my guiding principle. But I let myself be distracted when I made that sketch. It was an unusually careless mistake. So, you mean to say, you really are a detective? But why would a detective be working as a restaurant waiter? Ah, of course! Your salary must be terrible! I was working undercover. Undercover? Does that have some meaning to do with your salary? Yes. There have been a series of incidents at the restaurant lately. In order to investigate, I decided to get a job there as a waiter, working undercover. Incidents at the restaurant? What kind of incidents? That would be classified police information, which I'm not at liberty to divulge. However, I can say categorically that they are unrelated to this case of homicide. Very well then, Inspector Hosonaga. You elaborate on one point for the court. Of course, Your Excellency. We have just heard new information from the two witnesses beside you. That at the time of the shooting, there was in fact another person present at the victim's table. If that is indeed true, clearly, you would have also been aware of that person's presence, having served at the table in question. However, your testimony did not allude to this other diner. Therefore, I am led to assume that in your professional capacity as a police officer, you required these witnesses to be in agreement. Would that be correct? Correct, Your Excellency. Unbelievable! As I suspected. As soon as I heard the gunshot, I ran out of the kitchen to see what had happened. The victim sat slumped in his chair, and beside him, gun in hand, stood the accused student. Sitting opposite the victim, at the very same table, was a young lady, whom I guessed to be an Englishwoman. So the truth comes out. I immediately sealed off the restaurant and reported the incident to the Bureau. It was then that I received some special orders. Special orders? You mean to say? Remove the Englishwoman from the scene at once. It was made clear that the Englishwoman's presence at the restaurant was to be concealed. Those were my orders. But what if this Englishwoman was the killer? I think it would be in everyone's best interest not to pursue that idea. The Empire views the friendly terms of its relationship with Britain more highly than anything at the moment. An Englishman has been murdered on our soil. To name an Englishwoman as the primary suspect? Well, without irrefutable evidence, that would be completely out of the question. So that's the reason for the disappearance of the Phantom Woman in this case. But it's not right! I don't know where this is going to go. If they're not willing to give the information about her, did you even get information, or did you just let her go? Is it even someone we could track down? One possibility does spring to mind. What do you mean, Kazuma? Yume University is currently hosting a number of exchange students from Great Britain. And I'm fairly certain that one of them, studying in the medical faculty's research laboratory, is a young English woman. What? You are a shrewd man. It definitely would be weird at this time of history. I can see why you're the chosen candidate for the overseas study tour. You mean... When I removed the woman from the scene of the crime, I thought it prudent to check her identity first. Then the court demands you name the lady in question at once, Inspector. The English woman sitting at the university professor's table was a certain Miss Giselle Perez. She is indeed a foreign student studying in the research laboratory of Yume's university's medical faculty. What? What is happening here? I admit that under orders from the police bureau, I erased all evidence of this lady's presence at the scene, and ordered these witnesses to make no mention of her in their testimonies. It must now be up to your excellency to decide how to deal with the situation. Well, this would make a fantastic excuse to get the fuck out of Dodge, wouldn't it? The Great Departure. I had assumed, at least going into this, that the whole like Sherlock Holmes stuff and whatnot would be him coming to Japan, but maybe not? Thus far, the case presented to the court has been underpinned by a particularly critical premise. Namely, the victim was dining alone. However, as we have now discovered that the premise is false, it would be a desecration of our justice system to ignore the truth and give a ruling at this point.
Objection!
But, Your Excellency! That would mean missing the noon deadline of... That would mean missing the noon deadline of a ruling in order to send the telegraphic report to Great Britain. Our own government will surely be very displeased by such actions. Calm yourself, Counsel. I will not allow the government of our country, or any other, to influence the proceedings of my courtroom. Very, very good of you. You are a good judge. Inspector Hosanaga. Yes, sir? You will locate this Giselle Brent and escort her to the courtroom with the utmost urgency. At once, Your Excellency. But that means you'll be going against your special orders you were given from the police bureau. As I said before, it is my guiding principle to carry out all investigations flawlessly. So it won't be a problem. Unless he gets shot in the process, maybe. Nothing will get in my way. Or maybe he just keels over. Court will be adjourned briefly. The prosecution must call the English student, Giselle Brent, to the witness stand. Do I make myself clear? Yes. Your Excellency. Good. Then we will have a 30-minute recess before reconvening. Oh, excellent. I could use some water. To be continued. Maybe that makes a fair point to put the first episode ending. Interesting. Again, I don't know how often I have a chance to record stuff for this, but, you know, I'll just do it whenever I feel like, basically. Yes, to save my current progress, and I guess we'll leave it there for today. It has been very interesting. I feel as though I do really like this series. There's some aspects of it to, like, working things through and progressing that can be absolute bullshit at times, but if that's, like, the worst thing about the series, it's still pretty good all around. And this is just a really interesting setting so far. So, it's a really interesting twist on a lot of the stuff I know as well. So it's a lot of fun right out the bat, even in this little tutorial trial here. I'm surprised we're going to a to be continued. I was starting to think like, oh, we're just going to get thrown out into... We're going to get like exiled or something like that. Like, okay, we don't know what's going to we can't really do anything about this. So we're going to be like a political thing, and we're going to say that we're going to take the killer of your person, and we're going to exile them. Ironically, to Great Britain themselves. So, our big diplomatic move to... That actually might not make sense. Our big diplomatic move here to appease the Britons are going to be sending... to send the killer to Britain, you know, as a free man. Or the alleged killer. No, I'm innocent, guys. I'm innocent. Yeah, this is already very interesting. I don't know how this is gonna go, so that's very interesting. Giselle Brett. Traditionally, the series has had very punny names. The fact that they're in Japan and not translating them from the Japanese ones means they probably don't have nearly as much of that. Because I think that was part of the translation in the original. I'm trying to think if Giselle Brett is something. I've never read the Sherlock Holmes stuff much. The extent of my Sherlock Holmes experience is realistically watching like the newest BBC series of that. Not even all of that. I haven't watched that all the way through even. I should one day. But other than that, I guess I'll leave it there for today as I've been recording over 2 hours. So I'll see you all whenever I can get to this next. As, like I said, it's a wildcard series, so it'll just be whenever I have time. I am completely and utterly committed to finishing it. It's just a matter of when and where and how, basically. So, I'll see you all next time. Drive safely, everyone.